What's up, you sons of bitches? Wes Shrimp Po Boy, and I'm here tonight with my guest and friend for how many years was it? 3 maybe?
3, I'd say, yeah. Yes, I am Wes's accomplice and voice of the pawn to that the retro brother.
Yup, and tonight we're going to talk about certain topics, issues about the Sonic franchise. We're also going to
swear to God, everybody, we're not going to go off like Chris Chan over here. We actually have functioning minds, even if we're Spurs. We're not going to go cringing until we actually got facts and logic on our side instead of like fantasies.
yeah. I'm configuring my I had to my what was it again? What the fuck's it called? My older controller kind of took a get fucked and suicided on me. So
yeah.
now I'm
game while you focus.
Yeah. So I'm using basically a controller, a GameCube style controller. So I'm minimizing a bunch of windows, my Discord and the browser and stuff like that until I can get this shit.
Well, while he's doing that, he is speaking straight from whatever swamp he is in Louisiana, while I'm in a God-forsaken shithole in the Matrix hospitals. Very big long story, but let me tell you, what is the suite that I'm in? I'm at the creme de la creme of all the laboratories I can imagine. It's the Jerry can. Yeah, long story short, government healthcare is not a good idea.
No. Even a left-leaning guy like fucking Kraut and T before he went SJW level doxing Spurg, he basically pointed this shit out. A great video that's aged like fine wine. It's probably the only thing he did that aged like fine wine.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the same thing he said for Bob Chapman's content. Yeah, his content is not aged well. Even the stuff we've been saying that was pretty decent, unfortunately. The very end of the stories, yeah, his content is very well. So, anyways, even though that I do apologise if I do sound that I am high off my ass or drunk, it is because I'm currently being dripped for painkillers. So I am soldiering on for this. So, as we going to kick off, we're going to be talking about a very controversial thing that not only is just not a Sonic fags who love this.
What the fuck? Okay, that hasn't happened before. What the fuck, son?
So yeah, it's not just a case of us just being Sonic fags wanting to bitch and moan about our favourite blue hedgehog, but it is also a very decent case about what happens when somebody finds loopholes in creative freedom and copyrights, all that sort of thing. Basically, we're talking about, if anybody is familiar with the Star Wars franchise, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Despite the fact that we are, if anybody's familiar with the Star Wars franchise, of how the series got bastardized by a good lot of people, not just Disney, also J.J. Abrams, but this sort of thing happened before, and I see it as a very good case of history repeating itself.
Okay, that's fucked up.
Yeah, as we already know is that history unfortunately will always repeat itself. And before Star Wars happened, there was something that happened in the Sonic community, and you can argue that it's just as complex as Star Wars. Not to mention that there's things that were ripped straight out of Star Wars. Death Egg, anyone? I mean, come on. I'm actually surprised Sega didn't get to see Longplay even back in the 90s. So, who are we on about? Who are we going to...
I'm sorry, folks. I'm suffering a technical difficulty. I'm suffering a technical difficulty. My game is glitching, and I'm sure you guys can see that with your own eyes.
They can hear us tonight, though.
Yeah, they can hear us.
Right. Well, anyways, better choice of words. We are, so basically this guy decided, so who are we going to slap our hate bone reports tonight? You know, is it some, and this is going to get very nerdy as fuck, so hopefully you are in the know. If not, I will try to explain it as layman as I can. So, let me bring you back. The year is 1993, or 1994, depending on the first publication. Sonic the Hedgehog, as we all know, back in the early 90s, was kicking off. It was, you know, the big competitor against Nintendo during the 90s console war. Well, the console war technically lasted from, say, the mid to late 80s and then into the late 90s, you know, because Sega definitely had a lot of the shit that was happening in Nintendo.
What the fucking fuck, folks? That's not good.
That's no good.
No, seriously, my my goddamn game is really, really pissing me off now.
Yeah, you're looking at the bright side, you're not streaming Sonic 06.
Yeah, okay, but I'm still semi-glitched. I guess I'll have to deal with it for now. For some fucking reason, I can't stand that, but I'm gonna have to deal with it for now.
Well, keep in mind, they can't, any rational person would want to hear us instead of watching a game. But again, I don't know how the world of podcasts works, so...
we're basically at the... I'm basically portraying myself playing the game at the foreground while we're talking.
Ah, yeah, that classic shtick that most commentators do. Well, while he's sorting that out, we'll get right to the topic, right? So...
Yeah.
As I said before, it was the early 1990s. I'd say around 1993 or 1994, Sonic was considered to be the biggest thing to happen into American households during, you know, the big console war. And basically, Sonic and Sega paved the way for, you know, video games as we all know today the way it is. Now, the thing was is that everything was peaceful in the kingdom. Sonic had everything that every 90s franchise would have wanted. He had not just one, but two and three Saturday morning cartoons. There was, you know, the Adventure Sonic the Hedgehog, which I nicknamed the Looney Tunes Sonic because that was the collection I'm known for, let's be honest. The other one, which was Sat AM, which is the one that every classic Sonic fan will not stop talking their hell about, for obvious reasons. And let's be honest, it is pretty damn good what it is. And then there was Sonic Underground, which was the last example of Saturday morning Sonic cartoons that happened back in the day. But while that was all happening, there was a comic that was made by Archie Comics. Now, for those who are not so savvy in the comic book industry, or the comic book world, Archie Comics, if the name sounds familiar to you, yes, it is the same company that did, you know, the Archie comics, or that teenage sort of comics that were around since the 50s. And over the years, you know, Archie became popular and so on and so forth, and they decided to branch out with other things. Aside from the mainline Archie comics, nothing really stuck until Sega came around, and they were looking for people to do comics, and Archie agreed. And thus, the Archie Sonic comics were born. Now, as you know, even despite how unique and original the cartoon series were and the comics, they were what they were originally. They were basically there to promote the games while they were being released, so fans could, you know, absolutely go on instead of just constantly playing the games 24/7. It was a nice time to be a kid back in the 90s. unless you were black and living in LA, and then you had to dispute between the LAs and the Crips, besides Nintendo and Sega. So, the thing was is that Sonic became the biggest thing out there. Even when SATAM got cancelled for bullshit reasons, the epic Sonic cartoon that happened back in the day. It was eventually somewhat continued within the SATAM. It was somewhat continued in the Archie comics. One could argue saying that the Archie comics was the proper continuation to the SATAM cartoon. They were going back and forth with each other.
I'm trying to fix this, folks. Trust me. What the fucking fuck? This never happened before.
Yeah, just be glad that you have somebody to keep your fans occupied.
Thank you. Seriously.
Alright. Hey, I may be sick, I may be dying, but I'm gonna go out with a bang. But anybody who knows me in the know, you know who I am. So, anyways, the Archie comics became pretty damn big, and they pretty much continued the spirit of the SATAM comics. It continued the spirit of the SATAM cartoon. And everything was peaceful, so even though the SATAM got cancelled, everybody was still happy. People got their games, people got their comics, and eventually, by the time that Sonic Adventure came around, Sega had to admit, saying that, alright, yeah, the continuity between the games and the comics are not the same. We only did this sort of thing because we want to promote the games, but tell you what, we'll let Archie continue the stuff. They have all the creative freedom that they want, so we'll let them do what the fuck they wanted to do, which is to make whatever stories that is family to teen centered. It's all fine and dandy, and as long as they somewhat reference the video games, then it's all fine. At least everybody was happy. Archie get to tell the stories, and the games that were made by Sega, they went to it. So basically, for those who have played Sonic games and for those who read the comics, this might be a bit of a shock unless you went through the Sonic Wiki. The Sonic video games took place in its own continuity from even Sonic 1, it has its own continuity. Basically, it took place on the planet Earth, and Sonic and Tails and Knuckles are the only anthropomorphic characters running around, Dr. Eggman's being the evil dickhead, basically, somewhat inspired by a mix of Adolf Hitler and Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah, go figure. And, Japan really has the thing when it comes down to Western scientists. I mean, Sega wasn't the only one. I mean, Capcom did the same thing with Mega Man. I mean, Albert Wily, the main antagonist from Mega Man, was based off of Albert Einstein. So Japan did that sort of thing. I think it's basically to say that, we get to take the piss out of you, and so on and so forth. And, of course, the video games were taking place in their own continuity, while the Archie comics continued in their own. So it all seemed fine. And again, the Archie comics wasn't the only ongoing comic series at the time. There was also the UK Sonic the Comic that was released as well, which was actually done by pretty well-known UK artists and writers as well, who later went on to go in stuff such as 2000 AD. And that's big stuff, 2000 AD, Judge Dredd and all that sort of thing. So, despite me telling you all this very nice thing, so what's this got to do with freedom of speech, and what's this got to do with basically arseholes who exploit that, and basically fuck that up for everybody else? Well, there's one name that would be familiar to everybody. Have you ever heard of the tragedy of Ken Penders? Well, Ken Penders back in the day was he was a comic book writer and a comic book artist. Now, I would say that he worked for Archie. He technically did. I mean, he made a shit ton of characters for the series and comics stories, which were some of the best that you could ever read from the Archie comics. And despite what his problems were, I actually think Ken Penders was actually essential to the original Archie lore. And I appreciate what he did. But there was the thing, right? So keep this in mind. This guy was working for Archie from the 90s and even up until the late 2000s. I mean, this guy was very dedicated to his work. but he was freelance. The guy wasn't officially working for Archie, he was actually freelance. So, as you know, freelance contractors, you know, they're basically whatever the hell they want to be, you know, they would work whatever time, yeah, basically they work whatever time, as long as they met the deadline and as long as they filled the quota, then it should be no problem. And it's supposed to be very laissez-faire. He's not bounded to the company of Archie or Sega. And Archie at the time were very pro-creative freedom for what they were doing. I mean, they can do whatever the fuck they wanted as long as they, you know, reference the games here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, in the video game continuity of Sonic, all we know is that Sonic's an adventurous drifter who goes from place to place. Adventure always follows him, or either he searches for adventure or adventure searches for him. And he has his good cast of friends that were always faithful and loyal to him, and it's one big adventure. In the comics, it was in its own continuity where Sonic was a freedom fighter fighting on the planet Mobius, which was overtaken by the evil Dr. Robotnik, who later in his own continuity turned into Dr. Eggman. Basically, he's got a lot of transhuman themes going on. And we're not talking about male to female, we're talking about basically cybernetics and shit. Very big, serious themes when it comes down to basically if you give up your humanity, if you give up your humanity and your sentience to become, you know, immortal and basically a machine. It was pretty dark stuff for what it was, and you know, it was pretty alright for what I would say. But Penders actually expanded more onto, you know, the lore of the comic book version of Sonic. He gave Knuckles a family, he gave Sonic a family, he even gave Tails, you know, Miles, Tails, Power, you know, Sonic Cycle. He gave...
I got it. It fixed itself when I restarted it. Thank God.
Good.
But yeah,
So,
go ahead and continue telling all this, because this way I can inject my piece when the time has come.
Yeah. Alright. It's kind of the reverse of World War I and World War II. This time when the American fucks, you have to get the Brit to save your ass. But anyways, yeah. But anyways, the Ken Penders, he written a lot for Sonic. In fact, some of the best arcs in the original Sonic the Hedgehog comics by Archie was done by him. We're talking about there was a time where Sonic got roboticized by Dr. Robotnik and served him. And that was pretty a dark shift, you know, for an aspiring hero to work for the villain. And yeah, there was a whole thing, this, that, and the other. It was some dark stuff. And I thought that, you know, yeah, for the comic book it was pretty damn great. And some of the art was beautiful. We're talking insanely beautiful art. Some of the best art you'll ever see from the 90s. And with that said, it was all happy-go-lucky, the best of what, you know, both the comics and the games can offer. Let's fast forward to 2009.
Get your ass down!
After,
Sorry, Tiger Lily was jumping on my desk where she don't belong.
you had to slap a pussy, did you?
No, not thankfully.
Alright, good. We don't want the Trump 2.0, do we? Well, depends on what 2.0 you want. Seriously, Trump Jr., if you are listening to this podcast for whatever reason, maybe you're a Sonic fan yourself, but please think about running for office because, you know, we don't want Biden to have a second term. But anyways.
Let's not get into the political shit tonight because, not yet anyway.
Alright, okay, yeah, we're just, again, jokes are jokes, you know, man?
Yeah, I know.
And, you know, grab them by the pussy, right? Excuse me. So, fast forward to 2009. And at the time, Sega was going a bit of a rough time when it came down to Sonic. Let's admit it. As much as I grew up in the 2000s and I loved Sonic the Hedgehog's games during the 2000s, yeah, I'm one of those guys who loved Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm that sort of Sonic fan. Sega had a pretty damn good idea of wanting to tell their own story away from the comics. They wanted to get progressively dark with the way that they wanted to. And it should have been that. It should have been always that. Sega keeps...
No! Damn it! No! Chill out!
What, the cats are talking again?
You've no idea.
Well, anyway, so Sega keeps to their stuff, Archie keeps to their stuff. It's all win-win. Then Penders decided before all that, say around 2008, despite when Sega was already going through a hard time with Sonic, because remember, this was at the time after Sonic 06. Despite what many people say about Sonic 06, I actually thought Sonic 06 was pretty decent. I mean, yeah, Sega fucked up when it comes down to the programming and, you know, the gameplay aspect, but I thought, you know, for what it was, aside from the gameplay, it was actually alright. And what can I say, I'm a very easy guy to please sometimes. So, Sega had to go through their shit of rebranding Sonic. Basically, they had to go from basically they had to give Sonic a major reset, basically. So basically they were saying, you know, forget Sonic 06, let's go for Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Colors, and I think Unleashed was the game that brought Sega back into the limelight for what they were worth. But at that time, Sega wanted to continue with the original idea, which was to get, you know, Sonic, you know, continue with his own story, his own character development, and all of the characters in the video game lore, you name it, you get the idea.
Although I will say, for Sonic Generations, it's a bit of a different story.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will.
So, when this was happening, it was around 2008, when Sonic Unleashed was being released. While that was happening, and when the fans were praising the game...
I'm gonna fucking quit it now! No, I ain't having you spurting out fucking shit up. Get out of the room.
So anyway, yeah, so anyways. While most of the
Hold on, I don't have my earbuds in yet.
Okay, right.
Now I do.
Alright, mind if I continue?
Yeah.
So while Sonic Unleashed was being praised by the fans, and, you know, everything was right against in the kingdom, Sonic Unleashed was released, and, you know, as a Sonic fan, not a Sonic fanboy, as somebody who, you know, would critique something for what it is, I thought Sonic Unleashed was pretty damn good for what it was. Granted, it had to be a major rework for Sonic, where they had to change a lot of art direction and so on. But
I hate earbuds, but these I especially hate.
Rock.
Huh?
But yeah, that's as I was saying, right? So Sonic Unleashed, despite being released, and Sega had to rework a lot of stuff. Basically, they had to change a lot of the art direction. But as far as we're concerned, the Sonic the Hedgehog canon in the video games stayed the same. So basically, from Sonic 1 all the way up to Sonic Unleashed, every game that happened that was in there, you know, that was all canon. That all happened for Sonic. Then Sega decided to contact BioWare, and they had to contact them through EA, I believe. Yeah, this is back before EA became the evil corporation that was just as bad as Activision back in the day. Yeah, do you remember those times? I feel like a fucking boomer. A dying boomer. But, eventually, Sega contacted EA and BioWare, and they decided to work on a game known as Sonic the Dark Brotherhood, or Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood. And it became an instant cult classic. You know, it was basically Sonic's answer to the Mario and Luigi Superstar saga, where it was an RPG. It was there for the fans to establish a lot of more of the plot and the lore in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise in the video games.
Yep.
But when that was happening, there was unfortunately a chain of events that would eventually unfold, where not only it was a threat to the franchise, but even a threat to basically creative freedoms as we all know today, right? So, as I mentioned, Ken Penders, during that time, he was making a sneaky little tactic, which was he wanted to copyright his characters, and he wanted to copyright the storylines as well. How can you copyright a story? I mean, that kind of sounds retarded, if you ask me. Anyways, he was sort of, was it the certain issues he wanted to copyright? It's confusing and very autistic as fuck. But
to put it politely, yes.
Yes. So Penders decided to do this sort of thing as somewhat of a preemptive strike. But then when Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood happened, which was all fine and dandy in the Kingdom, and I think it actually was a very unique Sonic game for what it was. It was a Sonic RPG, and it focused a lot on the lore in the video game side of Sonic. It actually established a thing in the video game lore, which was Knuckles was not the last of his kind. He was actually apparently there was a secret society of echidnas that survived during the presumed genocide of the echidnas from Sonic Adventure. And it also linked over with the Sonic Advance game. So basically, General, you know, that robotic character that you played in the Sonic Battle games, he wasn't the only one of his kind either. They were actually made by the ancient echidna, society. So it actually answered a lot of questions. It's like, this is pretty damn good. So again, everything seems fine, but then Ken Penders decided to take a bitch fit, and get your wrestling, boys, because this is going to get so autistic as fuck. You're going to probably be mouthing at your mouth and shouting "re" over this. So Penders thought what Sega did was ripping off one of his ideas in the comics. What happened was that during the mid to late 90s, this was around the Saturn era. What happened was that while Sonic was still going through that bad time in the Saturn era, basically there was only two Sonic games that were released during the Saturn era. That was Sonic R, which wasn't even made by Sega, and it was pretty alright for it. I mean, I love the music in Sonic R. It was actually developed by a British company, funny enough, Traveller's Tales, who now do the Lego games. And the other Sonic game that was released in the Saturn era was the Sonic 3D Flicker's Island game, but it was basically a port from the Mega Drive version, which arguably is the sought-after superior port. When that was happening, Penders, when those games were released around that time period, so mid-1990s, Penders wanted to add more to the comic lore of Sonic. And by doing so, he made something known as the Dark Legion, which is basically a secret race and society of echidnas that were not heard of for a very long time. Hell, to further prove that this was during the Saturn era, their own emblem was actually a reference to the Sega Saturn logo.
Yep.
So Penders did this, as you know, to add more, and you know, that's pretty noble of him. But when Sega decided to do something similar in the Chronicles, which was, keep in mind, Sonic, regardless, is Sega's own IP. They can do whatever the fuck they wanted with it. But Penders thought that Sega was copying his own ideas and putting them into the game without his credits.
Yeah.
Penders went full Brish-chan mode. He said to Sega that what they were doing was ripping off his own characters, his own ideas, his own plot lines, basically outrightly saying that they stole from his creations, and decided to take a lawsuit to both not only Sega but even Archie Comics for allowing this. He was furious. He thought he was stabbed in the back. He thought that he was swindled. You fucking retards. You made these characters and these storylines for a comic book franchise based off of a video game franchise
that was owned by the said game console making company. You absolute reject.
But you might now, for any sane person who's listening to this, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Penders couldn't get away with that because, you know, he was working for a game company that pretty much owned all the characters and, you know, all the licenses and so on and so forth. Well, my friends, there was two things you haven't taken into account, which worked in Penders' favor. Penders, first of all, was working as freelance. He wasn't under official contract by Archie.
No.
And this wasn't just temporary, this was for years. this was for fucking years, from the early to mid 90s, all the way up to the late 2000s. He was working under freelance, and they didn't decide to give him a royalty contract to say, hey, work for us, this, that, and the other. You know, Penders said that if you want me, it has to be freelance. And Archie, the second thing as well is that Archie had all this creative freedom, you know, that was going around, right? So basically they were very late on the fair when it came down to it, and it was all good for the most part. Granted, it may be a bit complex and confusing, but, you know, it made sense in the long run, and I appreciate what they did. But what Penders did is that he saw these as two stepping stones to get what he wanted. So he sued Sega and Archie at the same time to say that you guys are ripping off my characters and you guys are ripping off my storylines. So I'm going to bring it to court, and you're going to either give me money or stay in the either way I get money. And despite a very loyal fan base to the Archie comics, Penders decided to stab everybody in the back. It was the equivalent of a bunch of kids in the middle of a road playing ball, and then Penders got pissed off, and then he took his ball and went home. But not only did he take his ball and go home, he decided to contact every other kid's parents to basically say, these kids did this and the other to me, they punched me, they touched me, they did this and the other. That sort of insane bullshit.
Yeah. And that's why Archie had to write about the Genesis wave, and I'm not going to say they ripped off of Lord Vegito and a bunch of other internet guys online, their content creation of Sonic and his Sonic the Hedgehog's quest for power on Newgrounds.
Yes.
But which is the first, I think one of, if not the first, fucking appearance of Mega Man X Sonic the Hedgehog crossover.
Yeah, that was back in the Newgrounds era. You know, we're talking about, say, 2004, yeah.
Way back yonder when. Oh, shit.
Very great years, my friends. Back in the day when Newgrounds, you know, the days of the internet when you can make everything for everyone. So basically, what Wes was referring to is that there was a fan project that was made back in Newgrounds, which is known as Sonic's Quest for Power, which was a official, well, it was an unofficial fan crossover of Sonic and Mega Man, and it was basically trying to highlight the more darker side to Sonic.
Big time,
and it was
yes.
very dark, and I fucking loved it. I mean, when you were kids on Newgrounds, when you saw this sort of thing, you were blown away. It was watching very dark Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Very dark, and I fucking loved it. This is the kind of shit that Sega should have gone by, and Sega were thinking about going to that direction. But unfortunately, with the big gambles that they had with Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06, it didn't really pay off all that well, if you ask me. I mean, they put all their chips in those two games, and basically, you know, they had to rework all the art direction and so on for Sonic Unleashed. So basically what happened was that when this controversy was going on, Archie was kind of stumped. Even though that they were writing, even though Penders had written for all these characters, for all these issues, including not only just the Sonic the Hedgehog Archie comics, even Knuckles' own comic series that was made as a spin-off, and also, hell, Sally Acorn even got her own spin-off. And yes, I don't know if Penders was responsible for the story, but wasn't there a issue where Sally got her more mature redesign when she went into a golden light or golden pool, and then she submerged to being the very smoking tomboy GF?
I don't know, but I do know the Ring of Acorns is how Amy Rose physically aged her body forward, and the Ring of Acorns, one of the artifacts of Acorns, the Sword of Acorns, excuse me, on the crown of acorns, which Mammoth Mogul or whatever acquired, and he was one of the, what were they again? The prehistoric, basically dinosaurs, prehistoric animals regenerated and resurrected as basically beings like demigods that connect to this extra-dimensional field called the Chaos Force. That's what, that basically an ancient alien civilization that that had access to the source of the Chaos Emerald's powers called the Chaos Force. That's what it was called, and they have used a device that could access that and modify their atomic bombs to do that. And to try to devolve humans. And that's how Earth became Mobius and shit.
At least in the comic universe.
Yeah, well, this is how that happened as well in the comics. That's what I'm getting at. Well, these guys were the prehistoric, these were basically, they were big figures in the Sonic, Archie multiverse. And explained a lot of shit, you know? So...
Yeah, yes, I do remember that. I do remember Amy Rose, you know, she was so much of a simp for Sonic in the comics. She wanted to age herself to say, hey, Sonic, we're illegal now.
Basically.
Yeah, yes, in a nutshell. I think it was Archie's kind of in-humor to say that, yeah, if Amy realistically wants to be with Sonic, I mean, technically, even in the video games at the time, Amy was, what, 13, and Sonic was 15 at the time?
Yeah.
But in the comics, no, well, here's the thing, in the video games, they did age, in the video games, they actually did age over time, you know, every installment of the video games, they aged in real time when they were released.
Yep.
In the comics, they had to explain that, oh yeah, Amy, you know, went through this just to become older just for Sonic. And Sally went through a similar thing where she went into a golden pool that it was literally a bathtub full of golden water, and when she emerged, she became more mature. After all, Archie do know that, yeah, the fans, I'm not gonna lie, Sally was a pretty damn good character in the cartoons, and seeing her mature as this, from a rough and tough tomboy into an equally rough and tough tomboy, but, you know, more mature and basically, elegant person in the comics. Yeah, that made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense, you know, because it was supposed to be the comics' way of trying to tell a mature story, and the comics were centered towards family to teenagers. That's what Archie's stick is.
Yeah.
When that was going on, and I actually remember Penders actually written some of those stories. So Penders seems to be respectful with what he was doing up until this. So yeah, he took a bitch fit just because Sega decided to make a game to basically work on their own lore, but, you know, Penders wanted nothing to do with that. Yep. And there was months to years on end where the lawsuit went in between Penders, Sega, and Archie. Now, to bring this back over to why it's important for freedom of speech is that, keep in mind, Penders worked for a company, and not just one company, two. Penders worked for two companies where they wanted to tell their own story, they wanted to tell this, that, and the other, and they pretty much would have owned the I mean, you can't get these characters and plots to work anywhere else unless it is in this universe. The other thing as well to take into consideration as well is Sonic...
Motherfucker, I hate the size floor!
Fuck. The other thing to take into consideration as well is that Penders has an ego. Apparently Penders has actually been responsible for a lot of the fuck-ups for Sonic's franchise for a long time. For example, so if anybody's here familiar with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, either the recent one that came out, which I actually recommend you would go and see, it's actually pretty damn good. Jim Carrey actually does a pretty damn good portrayal of Dr. Eggman in it. And the voice actor for Sonic pretty damn good for what he is as well. Or the original Sonic the Hedgehog movie back in the 90s, you know, the OVA. Yeah. That, to me, if you had to twist my arm and say which one is better, yeah, I would go for the original animated version. But that's my personal preference. What also happened was around 2001, Penders wanted to make a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Yeah. this was the thing. Sonic, one of the original ideas for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie was an idea for Penders, which was Sonic was going to be made around, say, 2001 to 2002, and the movie was going to be called Sonic Armageddon, and it was very fucking confusing. I mean, if everything that me and Wes said sound very confusing for those who are not in the know for the comics and the games, it gets more confusing for what Penders wanted to do for a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. So basically, he independently went towards DreamWorks Animation at the time when they were making Shrek, that good movie. What happened was that Penders not only drew some concept art of what the movie's tone would look, but also he made an independent pitch to DreamWorks. And oh fucking hell. You know, I don't know how pitches mostly work for big companies, but if I remember, if you want to make a pitch for something, right, you have to be very professional as fuck. Do you know what Penders did?
See, guys, this is why I have a guide. I'm already running in circles because I hate this fucking map.
Yeah. What Penders did, Penders wanted to pitch it his way. He got his two kids to play Sonic. There's an actual video out there of, you know, what the pitch looks like. And oh fucking hell. Newgrounds animators back in the day who knew that were amateur did better than this fucking arsewipe. What Penders did, I mean, Roger Vanderwine's animations back in 2002 and 2001 look more credible than this shit. And if you know who Roger Vanderwine is, I will give you a high five because that guy's an absolute legend. What happened was that Penders, in the actual pitch, would say, you know, Archie and this, that, and the other, and for Sega Presents, instead of actually drawing out, you know, what will look like in the storyboard, he actually incorporates some live action. He took a photograph of Sega Presents from his TV, and he got his two kids to play Sonic CD on his TV, and he was filming it outside, and it's supposed to be about the whole thing that the whole plot of the movie was that Sonic exists in real life, and the whole video games are made out of him was basically government propaganda to try to make people more normalized in case Sonic's people get to visit our world. You know, kind of like the same idea from Paul, if you remember seeing that movie.
What movie?
Paul, you know, the one with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, you know, and Seth Rogen as the alien. You remember that movie?
No.
Well, go watch it. It's actually a pretty decent film, even though Seth Rogen is a prick. So what happened was that Penders, it's horrible. The pitch was poorly put together, and no wonder DreamWorks rejected it. But what Penders did is that he represented Sega and Archie by himself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Without their inclusion, no wonder it fell flat. The other reasons why it fell flat was because Sega was already in the works with Sonic X, and I don't care what many people say, I thought the 4Kids version of Sonic X was pretty decent compared to the other bastardizations of what 4Kids did to other animes. The other thing as well to take into consideration is that also DreamWorks was busy already with Shrek, so there was no way that DreamWorks would pick up on the idea because they were already fighting their own war when it came down to 3D animations in the 2000s. I mean, everybody was banking on the idea of the biggest and bestest 3D animated movie at the time because, you know, this was, you know, 4 years after Toy Story, and people wanted to try to mimic that success. So, no one Penders did that, but he tried to blame, saying it was corporate intervention. No shit, you were speaking on behalf of Sega and Archie without their involvement. And then after that, Penders, basically to get the idea, Penders has this big ego that he thinks he thought he was the captain of the comics. And ultimately, he thought he was the captain of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, if you really think about it. So what later happened was that in the court case, Penders decided to settle it with an agreement with Archie and Sega and say that I own the rights to these characters and you pay me these royalties. Which they did. It was settled out of court at an undisclosed amount, this, that, and the other. But what was the cost? What was the cost for all these loyal fans who just wanted to read a damn good story, or play a damn good story, or play a damn good game? What happened in the end? Well, Archie tried to work out something before the Penders controversy. They eventually decided to make the official crossover between Sonic and Mega Man. But that was basically buying time for all the curious fans while the dispute and the lawsuit was going on. And don't get me wrong, the crossover between Sonic and Mega Man was pretty damn good. An official crossover between two, I thought that was superb.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, even if Wes and even myself would agree that's basically a rip-off of Sonic's Quest for Power, but hey, official crossover and done pretty damn well, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, that's why I didn't. I just said they got that idea from somewhere, and I'm pretty sure some of the staffers may have actually seen that. I can't prove it, but I'm gonna believe it's very stout in possibility. It's a very staunch possibility.
So what also happened as well was that here's what made me kind of sad. No, I'll rephrase it. This is what made me sad. The last panel in that comic was Sonic and Eggman going back to their own worlds. But Sonic and Eggman were basically in a little bit of a fight to try to use Chaos Control or whatever to try to get them back to their world. And then Sonic shouted, Eggman, what have you done? And they were blinded by the light. And later after that, Sonic and Eggman were brought back to their world, and then there was the there was basically the Genesis wave, basically the whole reboot in the Archie comics. Now, even though it was basically intertwined to try to explain everything that has happened within, what was happening, in the comic lore, a lot of shit was destroyed. And why? The Ken Penders lawsuit. The reason why Archie and Sega had to reboot the comics was because of Penders.
Entirely because of him. Because he created the vast majority of the characters and all that work and all that lore. The Chaos Force interpretation of the Chaos powers and everything. Which I think, honestly, if they could do that for the Sonic games as an improvement that make a coherent framework, it would actually make the Chaos Emeralds make more sense.
But here's your problem. Because of this lawsuit, here's your problem. Because of the lawsuit, Sega unfortunately had to put in mandates of what Archie could not do. Basically, Sega had to take away the creative freedom that Archie had. And I don't blame Sega, because Sega do not want another Ken Penders shit. Basically, in the Archie comics, from that point, Sonic didn't take place from the Sonic the Hedgehog comics did not take place in Mobius. Sonic cannot lose, and also the character cannot show excessive emotion. If anybody remembers reading up about this, there was a scene where there was censored where Sonic was crying. The reason why Sonic was crying was because he knew that he lost his kids because of the Genesis wave. The possibility that Sonic was going to be a father and married to Sally, and all this. That was all thrown out the window because of Penders in reality. And Sega said, no, you can't do that because we cannot mention Penders or reference the previous world because of that. And it didn't stop at the comics. The reason why the games, unfortunately, are in a bit of a identity crisis when it comes down to the games and the story is because of Penders as well. because Sega cannot make any reference to basically try to make their own fucking story because they're fearful that Penders is going to sue them again, and they don't want to go through the same thing all over again.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
It is all down to Penders' fault. So what happened in the end? So basically, in the end, all this great freedom, all this great creativity, all of these great story arcs, and even the possibility of the Sonic the Hedgehog video games getting more darker and becoming more serious to actually stand on its own 2 feet, unfortunately, Sega can barely do what they wanted to do because of Penders. They're fearful for another lawsuit, and they don't want to go through the United States legal system all over again. All because that Penders did not officially sign a contract with them. But you can always tell that Penders was a dick. He was making decisions for Sega without them knowing, and he is so egocentric that he literally believes that he owns Knuckles because of how much work he puts into him. Hate to say it, mate, it doesn't work like that. It never did. Never fucking did. Oh, and what happened in the end? What the fuck happened in the end for Penders? He got what he wanted, he got his characters, he got his stories, he got this, that, and the other, and he forced Archie to reboot the whole franchise. What happened in the end? What happened in the end? He tried to make a fucking shit comic known as the Lara Sue Chronicles, and which is so bad. If you've seen pictures about that sort of thing, I shit you not, it is so horrible. Now, I won't be able to show pictures of it in the stream, but just look it up, Lara Sue Chronicles. You can make memes for days for this. The 3D models, Ken Penders actually tried to make 3D models to make it a pre-rendered 3D comic, which, oh fucking god, it looks awful. It looks so shit. It looks like, you know, a Chinese rip-off of Sonic. It's that bad. And the improved version where he decided to go back to drawing and pencils. What the fuck happened to your art style, Penders? You made fucking Lara Sue look like Peggy Hill from fucking King of the Hill.
Isn't it, kid? That's what... Why? That's so fucking... That looks horrible. That looks literally retarded.
And he can't call them echidnas, he has to call them echidna with a Y, and they're an alien species. Even though that Penders doesn't own the right for Knuckles, despite the fact he has a hard-on for trying to own the rights for Knuckles, he made a separate, completely different character, quote-unquote, known as Knock, who is not Knuckles, wink wink.
Yup.
And also Penders' actual interaction with people and how he does his own work nowadays is very fucking questionable and laughably autistic. For example, did you know, so does anybody, if anybody here has seen the Marvel Avengers movies, you know Hawkeye, you know that character. Penders actually got his likeness and actually drew him as a character in his fucking comic without his permission. And when asked about this, did you ever ask for his permission? He said that, no, I didn't, but I would appreciate if you would be starting a Lara Sue movie if you ever did. Yeah, that's nobody's like that. Yeah, mate, like that's ever gonna happen. Nobody's gonna pick the movie. Nobody. You are a shit pitcher. You are an absolute shit pitcher. In fact, Penders did an equally stupid and retarded pitch for a X-Men ripoff that he made back, you know, away from Archie when he went independent. It's we're going into the depths of indie 90s autism where, you know, it really is. I mean, if you want a good example of independent 90s good comics and animation, look up fucking Fred Perry and Gold Digger. If you want good 90s independent stuff, look up Gold Digger. Just look up Gold Digger. You would want to pay money to see that become a movie. or a Netflix series. Cheetah, if you hear me, can I have your phone number? Okay, I'll shut up with the something. But here's the thing, right? The worst thing about this was Penders hasn't published a single issue of his quote-unquote crowning jewel. He hasn't. He made concept art, he made fan art, quote-unquote, he even made commission art, and he made his own comic. You know, well, he showed a few comic panels and pages that never officially became published in his actual comic. So
motherfucker!
What was it worth, Penders? You fucked over Sega, you fucked over the fans, you fucked over everybody, and the worst thing of all, you pulled off J.J. Abrams before J.J. Abrams and Disney. No wonder not many people... I mean, in fact, I almost didn't get into the Archie comics because of this bullshit. But thankfully, with some reason and rationality, I decided to say that, you know, all the comics up until issue 0, all the way up to, say, you know, where Eggman and Sonic try to get back to their world in the Mega Man crossover. To me, that's canon. I'm not going to read a single issue after that. I'm not going to read another Sonic the Hedgehog issue, even if it's done by IDW, because it's so fucking confusing. I'm absolutely fucking, you know, pissed off at the fact that guy who had all the creative freedom that he ever wanted, and he still asked for fucking more. And this is a big threat to freedom of speech, because he exploited a loophole, he fucked over a company, and the worst thing, and I think the worst thing he ever did, above all else, he made an already autistic fan base into even more autism, when it basically the Sonic fan base is at each other's throats like it's religious feuds.
And at least there's at least religious views actually are trying to do something constructive about verifying their theology and shit. At least there's some actual reason behind it, not some retarded, you know, not something that just should have been kept left alone by the companies themselves and by fuckers like Penders. Anyway.
Final note from Penders. Oh, you want to say something first?
Yeah, let's go into that, actually. I want to talk about a little bit about the, was Penders also an underlining reason behind, oh wait, no he wasn't. The current Team Sonic dev were fucking fucked beyond belief. They decided to, when they made Sonic Generations, we were gonna go into that, right?
Before we do that, before we actually do that, there's two last things about Penders. Number one, Penders, I'm just going to make this just openly if I was talking to the fucker. I'm going to pull off a Clint Eastwood if I was talking to Penders. You had everything you could have wanted. You could have had everything that you would have worked for, and you could have actually made something work. What happened in the end? You became a laughingstock. Thanks to this, the Sonic the Hedgehog Archie comics, rich in story, rich in characters, rich in lore, is all fucked over because of you. I say you were the inspiration for Disney and J.J. Abrams for fucking over Star Wars. You did all this to have it your own way, and you did fuck all about it. The second thing is that Penders is also a big retard on Twitter. You can actually go look at some of his tweets, and it gets very creepy. For example, he actually wanted Jeffrey and Sally to fuck. Yeah, that was the thing. He actually wanted to make a story where Jeffrey and Sally would lose each other's virginity in it. Look, I'm going to say it as it is. As much as I find the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise pretty damn interesting and also engaging, and also I'm not against the idea of shipping in the series whatsoever. I'm not against that. And I actually find Sally to be a very cute, rough and tough and smart tomboy. But you know what, there's something a very smart and rough and tough tomboy But here's something, Penders. Do you know what there's something that I and a lot of fans do not want to know? I don't want to know how animals fuck! Keep their fucking sex lives behind fucking windows, or behind doors.
Behind closed doors, behind closed curtains. Don't be such a flamboyant fuck ass about it. Keep, if you want to talk, come on. The lefty shit that's going on now, they're trying to indoctrinate kids to tell about sex ed at kindergarten. They're trying to push degenerate shit on children. They're trying to warp children into fucking monsters.
Yeah.
Don't get started on that goddamn bullshit.
Yeah. Keep their fucking sex lives behind closed doors, so on and so forth. And do you know what the one thing here's something, Penders. Remember the fucking 25 years later comic series that was done for Sonic? Yeah, we know Sonic and Sally had children, but here's the thing. That's all we need to know. We don't need to go into raunchy bullshit. All we need to know is that, yeah, Sonic and Sally eventually got married, and they have their own kids. And Sonic eventually became a very respectable and actually pretty fun father. Which is actually pretty sad to see, and I can understand why, you know, Archie was pissed off when Sega unfortunately had to censor Sonic being emotional. The one time when Sonic actually cried in, you know, that one set in that panel, that was unfortunately censored. Unfortunately, it was censored. Sonic was crying because he lost the chance to have any of his own children. Penders took away Sonic's children, he took away Tails' own parents.
All of that!
Yes, and even, you know, Knuckles' own extended family.
All of that! Penders. And his ancestor, one of the most badass anti-heroes and villain types around, Interjack. He took away Chaos Knuckles! The motherfucking permanent fucking super form he could change into at any time. That was almost as powerful, if not as powerful, minus the invulnerability, as Hyper Knuckles from Sonic 3. Took away so the best characters and best story arcs of Archie ever. Took all that the fuck away from it. All because Sega's team and Team Sonic were fuck-ass about signing a hard contract to keep that shit. Are you fucking nuts? And you got an entitled twat pissy. Because he's stupid. Because he's an entitled, stupid motherfucker.
Who's doing nothing with the characters he's written for and got them in the back. He's basically lazy. Look, I have my own project in the West, a fan project. But here's the thing, Penders. The difference between you and me is that I want my stuff. I'm a dying man. I'm probably going to die in around November of this year. Hope to fuck that doesn't happen. My insides are actually painful as it is. I'm on a fucking drip feed as it is, Penders. But do you know what the difference between you and me is? I actually want to get my shit out. I actually want to share it with the world. I actually want to tell a damn good story with nobody's expense. I'm not asking for money. I just want to tell a damn good story out of my own pocket. You know, when it's not put towards, you know, food and fucking, you know, the medicine that I need to keep myself alive and functioning. You, on the other hand, you're sitting with your fucking thumb up your arse and doing fuck all with these. If anybody here is an animator, a artist, or a writer, you would be pissed off. Oh, and to make matters worse, Ken Penders actually decided to do a commission work piece, which he tried to defend, saying that it was how the Hillary administration, when they were running against Trump, was being embarrassed. Yeah, there's actually a picture that Ken Penders did, which was actually Lara Sue barefoot getting tickled by Not Robotnik. And he tried to say, this is about how the Trump administration is openly embarrassing the Hillary runs. You always just did this for fun. You just did this for a fan who just wanted fake pictures. And the only reason they get away with it is because in the Sonic the Hedgehog lore, they say that yeah, it's official that, yeah, I know this may sound autistic as fuck, but yeah, in the Sonic the Hedgehog games, the characters actually have no toes, but in the comic universe they do. And Penders, of course, I bet the guy who commissioned Penders to do that was either one, he did that because, you know, that was his own thing, or two, he was just as hard as Penders because the whole shebang with Trump and Hillary. Either way, Penders, you're not winning any favors. Also, hate to say it, man, you're pretty much a creep, and I'm actually surprised you still have custody over your fucking children.
Ooh.
Final word from Ken Penders. You're the reason why we can't have cool things anymore, and we have to go through the depths of DeviantArt and Furfinity just to get some decent art and fanfiction that isn't cringe material.
That's pretty hard, yikes! That's some hard yikes shit there, man!
Seriously, I can go back to fucking Newgrounds and watch all the cool fan stories that were done and fan animations of Sonic and his banner. You know what? Do you know what's even a bigger yikes, my friends? When Penders tried to make Sonic Armageddon, you know that movie he tried to pitch to DreamWorks?
Yeah.
No, it was a pitch so shit, but there's actually a fan-made movie in the works in Newgrounds, which actually was Penders' idea, but more darker, which was, instead of the, apparently Sonic Armageddon was that, apparently what Penders was saying is that basically all of Mobius gets blown up and they have to basically go into a Star Trek sort of thing where they're basically without travel to planet and eventually Earth and a Star Trek sort of thing to basically try to find a new home. The Newgrounds interpretation is that they're simple. Dr. Eggman, or Dr. Robotnik, depending on your point of view, gets so desperate he just decides to nuke all of Mobius, and Sonic and the rest of his freedom fighters go to desperate measures to finally try to bring back, to finally try to bring down Dr. Eggman. That's more cohesive, that's more simple, and it's just as complex without going to this big shebang just to try to stroke your fucking ego. Seriously, go look it up. The fan-made version of Sonic Armageddon. It is actually worth a look.
There you have it, folks. I mean, that shit's right there.
As a dying man, I'll say this. Just a few words. Fuck you, Ken Penders.
I'll second that one, even though I'm not in even though I'm not in this crappy shape like that. I will still say, after what I've learned here, and knowing that Retro Buff, he doesn't bullshit around about these kind of sources, so I can take his word with a grain of salt and more. So yeah, fuck you, Kenny boy. Thanks for fucking everything up for us. Now let's move on to the
yeah, before we move on, I just want to put this hack joke in here. Does anybody remember Fallout New Vegas, you know, the beginning where it says, hate to say it, kid, the game's been rigged from the start? Ooh. His characters were all called. You had Lara Sue, Julie Sue. Sue is spelt with S-U. The word Sue spelt S-U-E. He was going to sue from the start. It's all clear to me now, brothers and sisters. Alex Jones was right.
What's fucked up is Alex Jones was right about more shit than anyone's willing to admit.
With that being said, Wes over here is going to bring us to the next topic of the discussion. Well, I'm going to piss into a jerry can. Nice to know this is where my taxpayer money is going to, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, God. That, folks, is quite something interesting. What I was going to bring into the discussion here is about Sonic as well. Excuse me from the partial yawn. Well, for instance, while the shenanigans was going on, and after, when Sonic Generations came out, guess what the current team dev decided to do? They had to decide to grow a set of deformed testicles, essentially, and grow another stretch mark vein of stupid in their heads. And they decided to take the game Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It was Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic 3 were originally going to be just the original Sonic 3, and then they managed to merge it back together on a CD-ROM for the computers, and it was Sonic 3 and Knuckles that way. But, you know, which they did do. Later 90s, but it was still, that was, so in the CD-ROM version, it became the original game it was meant to be. Now, here's where it gets nuke fucking tech, folks. For instance, they decided to make the entirety of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, the hypersonic, the transformation, the actual mechanics with the emeralds that inspired literally the depowering of the Chaos Emeralds, and the other shit that's in Sonic, the first two Sonic Adventure games. And yeah, and they said, oh, we don't want to be like a certain anime. The Super Transformation was nothing, which they didn't say, but I already know they claim to not want to be like Dragon Ball. Super Sonic was invented by one of the co-creators of the first two Sonic games. To say, hey, Dragon Ball it's a pretty Dragon Ball Z for guys. Hey, that's you know, their own subtle equivalent of iDubbbz. Hey, that's a pretty good. So that's essentially what that was. So it was a hey, that's pretty lit. It was a tribute, or a hey, you know, a sound off, or you know, like basically a fucking tribute to say, hey, it's pretty badass to the Dragon Ball Z makers, and you know, mainly Toriyama. Now, if you're gonna claim that shit, you're hypocritical, or you don't know your company's history and you suck ass. Still, regardless of that little non-point on their part, it was never a point. It was bullshit spewing and shitting out the mouth. To that aside, pointing that what non-point that was aside, I'll explain what I'm getting at here. The reason I said about the deep powering using the Master Emerald to take power away from the Chaos Emeralds, well, how do you think they got? Where do you think they came up with that from? Well, the entire second half of the fucking game, when the Chaos Emeralds are gathered in around the Master Emerald, they grew and they transformed. The new forms of those Chaos Emeralds, you had to go around and recollect them and reactivate them, essentially. Or they say recollect them, but you're really just reactivating them. These little special ring zones that you go inside these giant rings, go into these special zones to actually complete all those challenges, and then get access to the Super Emerald transformation of the Chaos Emeralds. That's where they came from. There's a great video down in the description below that also expands on this and explains how that was a chapter in Sonic's development. A big majority, like the Death Egg battle using the hypersonic, all the fucking mechas on the Death Egg, the fact that there was even an exploration on a space station above the planet. All that came from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. All of it. So to consider that and any one of its core foundational elements non-canon, and then use that and use the game Sonic Generations to fuck that over and justify that. That is not cohesive as a story framework. It's bullshit. It's story writing crackpottery of the highest order, essentially. To remove that type of that stage of development for as a character away from Sonic. That is absolute fucking bullshit.
By the way, I was just listening to you while I was finishing my piss, but yeah. I mean, you got him that right. You have to admit, you know, that I actually think the Penders' shit actually did contribute a lot to that, because remember that Sega can't make reference to this, that, and the other, even just a subtle reference, they can't. I remember even Roger Van der Wijn taking the piss out of this to say that, remember Sonic Adventure, you know, that there was all this echidna tribe that died, you know, during Chaos's time. When Roger Van der Wijn did, you know, Sonic Adventure in 20 minutes, there was a piss take that, you know, when the echidnas were about to fight Chaos, Penders came in the middle and said that, "Hello there, my name is Ken Penders, and you are unlawfully using my characters without my permission. I own the echidna race."
Yeah, so that's basically probably why. That might have had something to do. Even then, you didn't have to have that, because that was before Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2. There was no reason to make that game uncanon. It contradicts all these modern games are built off of the back of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. That's what I'm getting at here. As a matter of factly, they all are to some fundamental degree. Every fucking one of them. The fact you even had a Super Tails, like they did in Sonic Heroes, I think. Didn't they? I think they did that in Sonic Heroes?
No, in Sonic Heroes it was Tails and Knuckles, they did glow, but they had, you know, fire sort of shields around them, but there was a Super Tails in Sonic 3 with, you know, the flying flickies and so on. And that actually was supposed to be a reference to say that Tails was more than just, you know, a know-it-all geek who didn't have any superpowers. That it actually said that.
Yeah, that was the thing. He was a real character, and he was a hero himself. That was what that was supposed to be for. So why do away with that too? Why do away with all that?
Because the Penders controversy and also Sega have to be very, very, very careful with what they can and cannot do, because they
but that's the problem though. That I don't know if you can use that justification when it comes to Sonic 3. That's the problem. Because if that was the case, they'd be rewriting all of Sonic Adventure, or they would fucking shut it down and keep people from buying it again or something. Which wouldn't work anyway. You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense with Sonic 3. It would make more sense to do that with Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2 and shit, and then Sonic Battle and stuff, where that kind of shit gets mentioned, but still. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense. Like, there's some other underlining reason. I know they said, oh, thought to be like certain anime. Yeah, that's bullshit. That was a nod. It was a nod off, like a tip. I tip my head to you. Gesture to Dragon Ball Z. When they did the co-creators of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 did that. Go fuck yourselves. That's a.
Yeah, did you know that there's even some little jokes that Sega can't use anymore because Ken Penders would think about, you know, for example, there's actually some in-jokes in the Sonic the Hedgehog lore that Sega cannot openly reference anymore, because of, remember the whole shit that Ken Penders did with the whole, what you call the internet shit,
yeah.
for example. There's actually, it's actually been showcased that Blaze the cat originally was supposed to, believe it or not, it's in her character sheet, despite being the age of, you know, past maturity, she actually has breast envy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sega actually written that, so basically, when she interacts with Rouge, she's actually somewhat jealous of her because of that.
Yeah.
And I know I may be a bit high on painkillers at the minute, but Sonic plays forever. I don't care if I'm some sort of fucking weed. It can work. It's one of the best possible romance, kid. We're nothing now.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think Sally and Sonic would probably be badass, but yeah, they nuked that out the water. Thanks, Ken Penders. Thanks a lot, asshole.
It did happen, but Penders just decided to be a wanker about it. But back onto the video game Sonic, right? So, and funny enough, this is actually coming up to Sonic. It's actually coming to Sonic's 30th anniversary, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, Sonic's going to be 30 pretty damn soon. Overall, I think that, yeah, so what a great time to bitch and moan about Sonic the Hedgehog. At least we're not fucking Jim Sterling where he thinks that everything in Sonic is shit after Sonic and 3, and of course, no, we're not like that. We're not a fucking obese fucktard who lets his wife get cupped. But anyways, but yeah, Penders, oh, sorry, my mistake, again, that's the painkillers talking. I actually hope that Sonic does actually showcase more of that character, especially Sonic Prime. It's going to come out, hopefully sometime soon for Sonic's anniversary. I really want Sonic to actually tell a damn good story. At least let me tell it, if I'm going to die this year, Sega, please tell a damn good story before I die. I'm not saying you owe it to me, it would be a nice thing to say before I go.
Should the prognosis be absolutely true, of course.
Yeah, yes, I don't know if anybody who's watching the stream is aware of that, but yeah, I'm a dying man. But we're not going to take that up with, you know, we're not going to take that up with the conversation because, you know, I don't want to pass the fuck out.
Yeah. So, well, we've got those particular subjects over, and this is the first time I actually got through that motherfucker without having to look too heavily at the guide. I was belated, to say the least. I could have known it! Anyway, enough with the cringe aids on my part, but yes.
Before we continue to the next subject, there's one thing I want to mention, right? Do you want to know how Sega absolutely are pretty damn great when it comes down to the storytelling? And yes, I know I'm going to be ranting about Sonic and Blaze could be a thing. Just get two Sonic and Blaze dolls just go. But no, there's actually a very damn good thing that I think that should be noted in the Sonic games.
Yeah.
Now, it is true that Blaze does blush sometimes whenever she starts to learn more about Sonic in Sonic Rush, but did you know that at the end of Sonic Rush, before Sonic and Blaze go back to their own worlds, Sonic said that here's a little something from me to you. But in the cutscene, we don't actually see what it is. Apparently, you know, all we just see is that they get a handshake, but Sonic apparently gave something to Blaze.
Yeah.
And it was more than a handshake, so... But what we see is that Sonic brings his hand to his chest. I may be an overlooking Alex Jones conspiracy theorist, but hear me out, lads and lasses. I actually thought that was Sonic putting his hand to his heart, because after when he Because, you know the whole thing that opposites attract? I actually think the same applies to Sonic and Blaze, if you think about it, because think about Sonic is a free-roaming drifter who loves adventure, while Blaze is basically, you know, a very upstanding princess who wants to, who has the determination to set things right, basically under order and so on. I think too, actually, in fact, I think that would actually be, you know, Sega's answer towards, you know, okay, we can have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And hey, coming from another dimension, doesn't that reference something? I don't. Hell, even Sonic and Blaze's interactions in Sonic Adventure, Blaze has those funny looks towards Sonic.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard of the owl and the pussycat, the hedgehog and the pussycat. I don't know. Maybe. Alright, alright, I'm going to leave the rest for DeviantArt. Anyways.
Yeah, also, I'm gonna be very inflammatory real quick. Those who don't like rape jokes, fuck you, they can be fucking hilarious. Imagine Daffy Duck trying to raping Sylvester the cat because he was desperate for pussy.
Oh, you're the thick of those.
Yeah, that was my old take on the old George Carlin joke. Yeah, if rape's not funny, imagine Porky Pig raping Elmer Fudd. And everybody tried not to giggle, but it came out. That's too fucked up. It's hilarious to try to picture. It's hilarious because of how fucked up it is. But that's what we call comedy, folks. It's a transcending tool to overcome really dark subjects. You fuck asses.
I'll tell you another joke before we go to the next subject that Wes had in his magic bullshit. Now, this is a unique joke, right, that nobody has heard before outside of my inner circle. Alright, so everybody heard about the George Floyd doll. You know, the George Floyd doll, you know, that is very controversial, but why don't we actually make a talkable George Floyd doll? Whenever you press his neck, he goes, I can't breathe.
Oh, shit!
I'm a dying man, I regret nothing.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. George of the jungle, watch out for that knee.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's terrible. You know, I actually, and one of my times I did one of the podcasts I did, one of my previous ones, I actually bought the narrative about him at first before I actually learned about his fucking, what he was, actually. Which really, God. I'm really upset, because I thought, it's just a dude, just a bit, you know, done shitty by the system. No, there's more to it than that. He was a martyr for a commie movement. And he himself as a person, I won't say too much, but yeah.
You shouldn't laugh at this.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I think we'll be a little difficult. Yeah.
I gotta put that in my offend everyone folder. Oh, God.
Yes. It is perfect. It is glorious. But anyways, so on to the next subject, mindfully.
Yeah, I was learning about these guys called the distributists. Now, what intrigued the hell out of me was this. I disagree with some of their presuppositions. I have read a few law books, and so I'm still reading a law, economic, and political science book called The Corporation and Modern Corporation and Private Property. It explains how state socialistic corporations are and how clowning the ANCAP and commies alike are on the ignorance of this reality. And there's actually very specific steps in how this shit occurs, and this shit's happened before. And I'm going to emphasize something that the distributists, I'm going to criticize the distributists on their presuppositions on their advocacy for guilds, for instance. It has to be non-corporate, or you're going to have the fucking middle-aged warmongers 2.0. Oh yeah, that's how that works. It's basically the precursor to modern corporate global homo corporatist bullshit of today, which we're 5 steps away from shifting over completely.
Speaking about the global homo shit, does anybody here remember the fucking shit that happened with Blue's Clues?
Oh god, yeah, the fucking pedo color sign. Yeah, I've heard of the MAP. Yeah.
One of the things that pissed me off, it also pissed me off even more because the fact is I'm a furry who's also an owl, and the fact is that owls are associated with that. We're not fucking Moloch child rapists and sacrificers, you fucking bastards. Excuse me, that's the Coca-Cola. Motherfucking Nickelodeon. I mean, I grew up with Blue's Clues.
So did I. When I watched Blue's Clues, I think when I was like fucking 5 years old, and 3 to 5.
By the way,
whenever it came out, I think.
Did you know that there was a difference between the UK Blue's Clues and the US Blue's Clues?
Yeah, the guy that wore the gray striped shirt with 2 different dudes.
Yeah, well, I actually thought Kevin in the UK actually was more energetic and more fun than Steve. To be quite fair. I mean, Steve, to be quite fair in hindsight, kind of looks like, you know, a desperate man from high school who needs a job.
Yeah, Steve was the one who killed himself, right?
Steve killed himself?
No, which one was it?
I'm not sure. I don't think Kevin died. I thought Kevin actually went into a rap group afterwards. You know, the Black Lad. You know what I mean? But to me, Steve, he was the guy who, you know, basically he would say everything in a very timid manner. Basically, he was so worried if he was going to get fired. But whenever Kevin was the black lad in the UK who was a scouser, he actually was fun. He actually seemed, you know, the perfect child entertainer, you know what I mean?
Ah, wait a minute. It was one of those death rumors. Ah, that's what I heard about. That's what I was wondering, like, what happened to this guy? I heard some shit happen. It was a fucking, yeah. It was one of those fake hoax things. That explains it. I was wondering about that.
Like when John Carpenter reportedly died and said, I'm still alive, actually.
There we go. Got the Bombus medallion. Get fucked!
By the way, for your information, just because I hate the NHS, I actually, do you know what I managed to get in here, frankly, from a friend? I actually got an air filter, right, and I just said it's a fan just to keep it cool, but it's an air purifier, so that basically means that whenever nurses and doctors are looking at the smoke inside, they won't know.
I wouldn't be saying that too openly, dude, but...
Just word for mouth. Yeah, basically whenever I had to hide the pipe, you know, when the nurse would look over, I was like, oh, hello, I'm just talking with my Yankee friend. Walks away. Let's get down to business, gentlemen. Pops pipe.
Yeah, fair enough.
I did that. I mean, that's the know-how on these places, you know. Hey, you know what they say? You gotta be smarter than the average bear.
Yeah, But that motherfucker didn't talk better than the average 3-year-old, I tell you that.
Maybe so, but yet again, a guy who stutters who's autistic is definitely a threat to be reckoned with.
Fuck's sakes. I'm gonna link Harry Serpanos' stream that he was doing while I was recording this. I wish I'd have known he was gonna doing live then. I'd have asked to join. Fuck, man. Oh well. Before I go, I do want to go into this particular thing about the distributists. I like a lot of the stuff they advocate and want to do, but I'll link reference to my case too, and I'll fuck am I doing? Okay, give me a sec.
On a bit of an older, sorry, I was going to say, on a bit of an older note for the sake of conversation, did you hear that Roger Craig Smith's not going to voice Sonic anymore?
I'm not surprised, actually.
Mike Pollock, who was voicing Eggman, he's still going to be on. Because remember, Sega said that the reason why they changed the voice actors is because the voice cast actually is, the idea is supposed to get the idea of the characters age over time, right?
Yeah.
They're keeping Mike Pollock because Mike Pollock actually, they says that he has the perfect old man voice.
Okay.
So, Roger Craig Smith, he's not going to be able to Sonic. So, Sonic at this point is probably going to be in his mid-30s. He's going to be, what, 36, technically. So yeah, Sonic's basically going to be dad age.
Yeah.
Imagine that sort of thing. Hey girls, I'm ready to settle down. But who wants to go in the fast lane?
Fucking Christ.
Do you know what the best pickup line is, actually?
What?
Just because I'm a Sonic and Blaze fanboy, I said, you know what, Blaze? There's another reason I dig you. Because you know how to light my fire.
My favorite ones are you retarded because you sure are special? Sit on my face and I'll guess your weight. I like my coffee. I like my women. I like my coffee ground up and put in the freezer. I'm from Kenya. Please send help. I miss my dad.
What's a good one?
Hey girl, the voice in my head told me to come talk to you.
What's a good one? That's the only pickup line I know that Sonic would say to Blaze.
Yeah, that or something to do with fucking chili dogs, like a fucking cringe lord. Holy shit.
No. Do you know what would be the song that Sonic would say to Blaze to try to win her over?
I don't...
Come and baby, light my fire. And the Doors fucking haunt me. Out of all things I would sing, the Doors fucking haunt me.
That cringe gave me lung cancer. Hold back.
What's a good one? Jesus. Yeah, there's at least it's not as cringy as, you know, Tails singing the fucking Fortnite song. Yeah, there was actually a fan-made video of Tails singing, you know, take me down the XX down the Fortnite zone, or whatever the fuck it is.
Fuck me, that sounds cancer.
Listen, Unreal, if you put Sonic in Fortnite, I will never forgive you. I mean, it's already bad enough that you actually convinced Toby Fox to put Sans in fucking Fortnite.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Sans and I love Undertale, but I guess Toby Fox says that, well, I need money, so fuck it.
Okay, since I'm going to discuss the subject, since it's got my little text file to go with some of the over the basis of it. Like, I like some things about the. Excuse me. I like some things going over the Catholic social teaching. There are some things I like about it. They're pretty alright. But what I really like is what spawned from it. There's some things about distributism I actually like. But I'm going to go into that soon, but just give me a minute. Distributism is an economic political system that came about in 1891 by Pope Leo XIII. That's the dude who invented the modern SJW rhetoric. Speaking of which,
here's a little political joke as an intermission. I've got a little political joke for you as an intermission.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the recent Pokemon game that takes place in Ireland?
no.
It's called Pokemon Black and Tan.
Bring back the black and tans.
Bring back the black and tans. We'll get the IRA and the run from Belfast to the band for the UDA. The UDA and the boys, black and tans. Just for the record, MI5, I am not part of the black and tans. I'm not part of a unionist movement. The unionists are just as bad as the IRA. Oh yeah, you want to bring that up, Wes? There's a certain somebody that we knew who called me out for that bullshit. Or claimed to call it bullshit. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Want to shed some light on that?
If you want to.
So, I take it that somebody here in the stream is aware of the anarcho-capitalist community. So, with that being said, does anybody remember when they were in Dapton server? Yeah, Dapton, you know, when he used to be a thing.
Yeah.
Dapton got rid of the server, didn't they?
Actually, no. I'd rather not go into that on this stream. It's retarded as hell what actually all went down. But I'd rather keep that off of it. But yeah, skipping over that.
Yeah, long story short, remember, the IRA are just the socialists. Just because they're against the government doesn't mean that they're your friend.
No shit. And there was confirmation about that Bloody Sunday shit.
Yep, the IRA had definitely had a hand in it. But don't say that in a Republican area in Northern Ireland. You're going to get stabbed in the knees and kneecaps for it. Because after all, emotion dictates their politics.
Yeah, it's when you give up your humanity to emotion, that's when you get, you know. I've never had a damn bit of trouble with this one. I can turn this guide off now, since I won't need it. Oh! Now, where did the cane of Berna, where did it go? Motherfucker. let's see. Okay, I got my notes. If you want to peddle tariffs, you're gonna have to. You need to learn about the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, because that fucked up so much shit. Tariffs don't work. Suck a dick. If you want to opinionate that they do, go learn a fucking history book. That's all I can say. There's so many fucking things debunking that claim, nuking it out the water thoroughly. And yeah, lame ass Norton. No, first law of thermodynamics does not predict conservation of mass. You fucking retard.
Hey, if it's worth sharing on the stream, so you can switch over to the Discord, right? Because I thought this would be worth sharing.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's not related to Penders, so we're not going to be threatened by TMC and all that shit.
Right.
So, lads and lasses, I'm offering you a little show because I am unfortunately under painkillers and I'm pretty much semi-drunk or basically buzzed by the fucking painkillers that I'm on, that I am pretty much drunk at this point. You know that feeling when you're buzzed on the painkillers, you know, that you're basically high, but you're drunk. You know what I mean? Well,
okay.
I'm offering you, lads and lasses, a little breakdown. So for those who may not be familiar, there was an absolute shit show that happened on fucking that actually did happen with Nickelodeon, and that was the fucking Blue's Clues shit that happened, as I mentioned earlier on. But the worst thing is that there's actually an actual drag king, no, not drag king, because drag kings are actually somewhat interesting, but drag queens, unfortunately, have bastardized the way that we go with, especially when it comes down to telling children their shit. Here's the thing, here's my limitations. Alright, I'm going to say it is this, right? The limitations of drag queens should be this, or drag shows. Keep it in fucking pantomimes. That's as far as you should go, right? Well, unfortunately, Blue's Clues decided to be this retarded, where they decided to not only get a fucking drag queen to go on to actually go on their propaganda, but they decided to actually just outright teach kids about homosexuality and pedophiles. I don't know if you can see this, but thankfully this thing is actually subtitled, so I don't know if you can actually see it, but it's worth a watch. It is worth a share. Wes, are you sharing this to me?
Yeah, I am. Let it play through your speakers. This shit's fucked up, folks.
Alright, okay.
We'll let Retro explain what's going on as you get to see this.
Yes. So what happened is that there's Blue's Clues is unfortunately taking the rainbow pill. And yeah, I don't know about you, but last time I checked, Blue's Clues is all about... Last time I checked, Blue's Clues is all about, you know, a little family-friendly show about, you know, basically a grown man with his dog playing a detective game. That's the whole thing, why it's called Blue's Clues. You find a clue, and then you jot it down, and then you find the big reveal. That's what Blue's Clues is all about. Last time I checked, you didn't have to, you know, preach fucking LGBT bullshit. And unfortunately, this particular drag queen, known as Nina West, has decided that it would be appropriate to teach kids about faggot shit. This is going to be a good one. I don't know if you can hear it through me, but you're going to be hearing the ramblings of a dying man on a medicated man through his speakers about this bullshit. I'm actually glad the nurses haven't called down on me about this because, hey, that's the pros about getting your own private room. Thank you, Dad. Before I die, at least I get to stay my shit before I go. So let's get on with the shebang, shall we? Hey, boyo. Yeah, that's actually what this fucking trans says. Boyo. Oh, what does that mean? Is it boyo as in boy? Girl? I mean, Is that something that the LGBT have put in there, right? I mean, Goyo? I'm not gonna lie. When I've actually first heard this, I thought he said Goyim, you know, the Jewish slang. Yeah, this is going to be a recurring theme in this, that they don't speak fucking English.
It's time for a biker.
More like a Black Lives Matter protest because you're fucking showing the fucking resistance sign on you. Yes, yeah, I do know that this the fist sign isn't necessarily reflecting on Black Lives Matter, but it is unfortunately associated with them, so of course they're going to be banking over the whole shit with America's unfortunate current political stance right now. But still, if you're going to be advocate for gays, advocate for gays. We don't need to put fucking blacks into the fucking shebang. Oh, but let me get. You need to have all the allies you can. So let's get the fucking black mongoloids who don't. Just for the record here, I'm not actually racist. I just do not like Black Lives Matter because they are terrorist. They're a domestic terrorist organization who are just on the slight edge of becoming the next IRA in fucking America.
No.
Families marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. This family has two mummies, they love each other, so how do we...
No wonder they're two mommies. It's because I got a question. Did they get a sperm donator for that child? Because, as you can see, that child has a prosthetic leg. Nice to know that you're keeping the gene pool alive. Next! Alright, two things. First of all, yes, they're actually showing the Black Lives Matter or the fucking listen with the black colours in it. Because of course they have to say that we're resisting against the man, bruh. Yeah, really trying to... You know, you're not advocating for gay rights. You're advocating for a fucking leftist agenda at this point. Here's some insight, lads and lasses. I'm asexual, right? I would call myself asexual nowadays because of fucking LGBT. I actually would consider myself a celibate. Yeah, I'm a virgin, I'm gonna die a virgin, haha, make all the jokes. But unlike the fucking arseholes in the LGBT, I can take a joke. Now, it's not only that they have this, but really, you're going to be using the template of when Johnny comes marching home, all because they say we'll all be gay when Johnny comes marching home. Yeah, I can see where you're using that song for that very reason. Yeah, fucking assholes. You're making the Civil War patriots look like fucking based red-pilled motherfuckers at this point. And that's including the South.
Honestly, the South was more unironically red-pilled than the North in certain areas, but the North was also more red-pilled in other areas than the South. Neither side was actually worth a damn. The only thing that the South had going for it was to fight federal power and to fight federal growth of power and the tyranny that Lincoln was doing. By the way, Abe Lincoln was in contact with Karl Marx. They actually found out there's actually there's a book on it. I'm dead serious.
Each day I finally realized that when it comes down to the Civil War, it was the worst war that happened on American soil for more than just people dying on both fronts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the more you live and find out shit like this, the more you realize, wow, the South should have won. Unironically.
Well, I would say that the Civil War was a fucked up war on both fronts because what side was representing and also how it's basically big government fighting against big government. If you want a good example of a real good Civil War movie, which is basically fictitious but it shows about the humanity against the bullshit, go watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Actually, it was someone advocating for a smaller government fighting the expansion of bigger government. And the slavery thing was not even factored in until Abraham Lincoln said, "Fuck it, I might as well." I got two books. There's actually two books that actually explains this quite damn well already.
Yes, but again, You are talking about two big governments with their own tyrannical agendas.
Actually, Walter E. Williams, one of the guys who actually introduced me into the political science and economics both. Technically, that's not true on the Confederate States of America's part. Yeah, both of them wanted to keep slavery alive. Yeah, both. But what's funny is there's 18 weaknesses in the USA's Constitution. 3 of them are going to be fixed. The 3 big ones were going to be fixed in the Confederacy Constitution, and that was also going to hold the other weaknesses back. So technically true in some ways. Both were shit because they wanted to keep slavery as a trade alive. But on the other hand, the CSA was going to fix more problems and stop big government tyranny in the long run and the short run. No one actually talks about this, because they don't teach it in fucking schools.
Yeah, but still, you gotta admit though, the Civil War does divide people apart even to this day.
Well, no shit!
Yeah. And this is why I say, if you guys are Americans, keep the American spirit alive. The land of the free, home of the brave, all that good loving shebang. Just don't let fucking foreign invaders trample onto what you believe in or what you stand for.
That already happened in the year 2020. That finally got exposed.
Aye. And speaking about exposure, just you wait, lads and lasses. I've got more than one bone to pick with these faggots. I've got more than one bone to pick with these faggots.
This family has to get because they love each other so happy, and they all go marching in the big parade. Come on, friends!
You're not my friend, and you'll never will be my friend. In fact, my mother and father would be concerned if I was your friend.
Families marching 3 by 3, hurrah, hurrah. Families marching 3 by 3, hurrah, hurrah. These fathers are run by an every.
What the fuck is a baba? Now, to be quite fair, apparently baba means, father in Arabic or something, but even if that was the case, you're speaking to an English audience. Speak fucking English!
And they all go marching in the big parade.
I know it's a bit of a late joke, but those dolphins, yeah, you're not really...
There's echoing going on through for some reason. I'm hearing echoing on your end, like it's like playing twice over.
Oh yeah, because the speakers, hang on for a minute. Have you stopped now?
Go ahead and try and see what happens.
Alright, but still, yeah, because I have to go through the fucking speakers. Yeah, this is what happens when you get a hick and a potato nigger trying to communicate with each other. So, yeah, I find it ironic that you guys are trying to be so standing and proud and tall when most of you people can't even fucking stand up. And this has come from somebody who's basically limited to a wheelchair at this point.
Families marching 4 by 4, hurrah, hurrah. Families marching 4 by 4, hurrah, hurrah. Trans members of this family all love each other so proudly.
And I fear for their existence. I'm not gonna lie, 5 trans people altogether? Does this count as group suicide? Oh fuck, my mistake. Come join the fun. Hang on a minute.
It's playing, but yeah.
Yeah. Just act. Go back to it. Yeah, come join the fun. I don't know what kind of fun you have intended for me, sir. Actual fun or bum fun. Either way, I'm concerned. Next.
See I'm hearing it play a second time behind when you play it on the screen. What's up with that?
Oh, stop. I have no fucking idea. You know, it's basically.
Why don't you try muting your own mic or something? Let's see what happens.
Well, can you hear the audio coming from the video without the speakers?
I gotta find out. Something's going on because I'm hearing it, and then I'm hearing something play. The same thing play over behind it.
All right. Well, I'll mute myself on Discord and see if that'll find it out. But anyways, with that being said, Alex Jones was right, people. They turned the frickin' frogs gay.
He's right about a lot of shit. What are you talking about? And everybody called him the cook. I gotta take these off. I can't stand listening to this shit. This is almost as bad as cuties. Where's my Everclear and my fucking crack? I need to get fucked up to be able to deal with this shit. Where's some meth at? God damn.
It's very
I'm gonna do meth the first time than to sit through this shit.
They all love each other so proudly. I don't know about you, but isn't the whole thing about the rhetoric about being gay or whatever fucking sexuality you are, that, you know, you're only limited to who you are? Oh, just let's be fucking honest. It's a fucking fag fest, therefore you all want bum fun. You're just desperate because you are desperate for some pussy or for some ass. Next! I had a friend who solved this who was from Texas. He is personally offended that you are culturally appropriating him as a Texan. Go back yourself, you wannabe cowboys. You're not even cowboys, you're fucking arse bandits. And yet they rule over nothing, aside from their apparent destiny that they're all going to die. I don't know about you lads and lasses, for those who are seeing it, but what is with this agenda that they're constantly putting disabled people? This buffalo's got one leg, and this fucking goat or llama has fucking 3 legs. Yeah, we get it. You include disabled people. You know what that kind of speaks to me? They're bad at fucking if they have no limbs. Question, is it rape that they actually, you know, get fucked if they don't have any limbs? This is fucking confusing. I'm looking at the fucking rainbow spectrum at this point, and it's fucking confusing, and I'm deeply concerned.
That was what I linked you below that. It called it the Library of Hate because everybody hates on the statistics pointed out in it.
What the fuck does the circle flag mean of all things? They're really getting crap when it comes down to the flag designs at this point.
I wish I had me some drugs. I wish I had some hard drugs right now. I'd rather start taking my first hits of that shit than this stuff right here. God damn.
The last thing that you want to take, mate, when you see this shit is LSD. Oh god, imagine all those fucking horny devils that want to rape you.
Just stop. I can't. I can't. Just let me look away and go fuck around with something. You play the rest of that.
Oh, the end, my friend. And this is the one thing that pisses me off so much. What you're about to see, lads and lasses, is, despite me being a furry, who is, you know, my persona is an owl, this is the one thing that pisses me off the most. First of all, you had to make a fucking owl an Arab. And for those who may not be very familiar when it comes down to the LGBT sort of thing, look at that raft. This raft that you see right here, you know, the owl's unfortunately standing on, is actually the flag of the MAP. What the fuck is the MAP? MAP stands for Minorly Attracted Person. I'm not making this shit up. Wes, are you there? Can you actually solidate this shit? Unfortunately, he is there. Great, thank you very much, Blues Clues. You made my best friend from Louisiana commit suicide. And he isn't even trans, for crying out loud.
Thanks, Blue.
What the fuck is Boyle? Speak English, motherfucker! Do you speak it, you tranny abomination mongoloid? And all you fucking faggots! Yeah, you might want to take a look at yourself, Blue. You don't know what the fuck you're licking, and you probably have contracted something. Also, let me put this in perspective. She said Happy Pride Month, but this video debuted in the 28th of May, 3 days before Pride Month had happened. You know, the actual month that it should be celebrated upon. You guys are cashing in into the whole faggot agenda, and I'm absolutely so pissed off, I gotta take a piss myself to relieve myself of your fucking AIDS. You excuse me, lads and lasses, I'm going to take a piss.
While you do that, I'm going to correct you on what the agenda's real name is. I'm also going to read a few statistics off and explain why these statistics are a thing before I hang this stream up. As much as edgy as this has already gotten, since I've shut the Discord stream off, like I said, I had to take that off. I can't. Let's see, we'll go to the spot. Here's the thing. Whether you are gender dysphoric, or if you are homosexual, bisexual, pansexual, etc., etc., if you are of those things, okay. I don't care. I generally don't give a shit. Now, I will say this shit right here. Due to the fact that the queers tend to, the queer collective tend to, excuse me, embrace varying degrees of leftism, the most extreme expressions of experimentalism and the sexual aspects of their lives. Things like social justice and moral relativism that the leftism itself is partially, I can't say entirely founded on, but partially founded on. And identitarianism and so on and so forth. Queers that are the vast chunk of them have embraced these things. The more recent generations of them. One of the older ones used to be more, I guess you could say retroactively, classic liberal, libertarian oriented, because they were fighting a government trying to stop them from being the way they want to be, but at the same time, politicizing shit like this is a problem. Excuse me. Due to them embracing they're embracing these particular things. Again, the leftism, the degrees of leftism, the extreme experimentalism, the social justice rhetoric, the moral relativism that the first and third I listed on that tend to bring in. and other things like that, as well as identitarianism as in recent decades, that has made the queers as a whole a hot spot, a weak point for pedophilia advocacy and such. And they're cannibalizing each other as a so-called community for it too. But problems also, they're a hotspot for that shit because they're weak. That's a weakness to them. That moral relativist shit, that one conservative faggot by the name of Naked Ape who disappeared himself off of YouTube and most of the internet. The only thing you got now are archives of his old videos he uploaded himself, if I'm not mistaken. Not only is it ruining a lot of the world in different ways, it's also spawning the weakness points for different groups, including the queer community. But this goes way deeper. So why? It's not only that, it also it's fucked over the furry community. So you got bestiality peddling fucking degenerates in the furry community. One wasn't near that bad.
I'm not going to lie. If I had to pick this song or Can You Feel the Love Tonight, I would put Elton John's Can You Feel the Love Tonight 24/7, just so I know that at least that Simba had a heterosexual relationship.
Yeah. And that also that extreme sexual experimentalism and these other weaknesses that the queer communities made themselves less of a community by embracing over the decades. I also got a couple PDFs on that. A couple of articles. One of them is archived, and one of them was made by a culturally Christian ethics advocating bisexual conservative, paleo-libertarian, anarcho-capitalist by the name of Justin Raimondo. We lost a great liberty and conservatism fighter when he died. He pointed some of this out too, and how this eventually came to be. A couple of articles. I'm going to link those controversial pieces. But due to embracing these things, they also made themselves a hot spot for sexual misconduct and disease, and spreading and being contributors of the STD crisis that started out because of this nonsense. Between 24 and 90% of lesbians report being psychologically abused by their partners. Gay men are 60 times more likely to have AIDS than straight guys. A quarter of gay guys in America have had over 1,000 sex partners. 43% of gay men have over 500 partners, as of 2016 references and whatnot, as of that year. 79% of homosexual men say over half of their sex partners were strangers. Up to half of lesbians report sex abuse. 99.8% of gays, lesbos, and bisexual teens will change their sexual orientation within 13 years. 1 in 8 gay men in London had HIV as of 2016 when these studies were compiled in that little deal. It was called Library of Hate because it showed some pretty brutal facts everyone hated on, including some Palestinian statistics that Jimmy Dore loves to ignore. Norman Finkelstein ignores, I don't fucking know why. Noam Chomsky loves to ignore, which makes the alt-screechers claim Jews and Muslims are butt buddies. Even though that's not true, that's kind of, I don't get it. It's weird. They put that together. Oh, this fringe is of leftist Jews. Somehow all Jews are asshole buddies with Muslims. That makes no sense. See that? That's a genuinely racist generalization fallacy. But then again, naysaying constructive criticism about the Israeli government gets you called an anti-Semitic racist. Ben Shapiro pulls that card on Ron Paul all the time. He would do it on a daily if he wanted to. And the fact the dude had a found out later to be an asshole, racist asshole that worked for him, you know, found out later to be a racist asshole that worked for his paper, publishing company, or I think news or whatever, report system, whatever, publishing shit, many decades ago. So yeah. Oh yeah, Ron Paul was the first to sound the alarm about the neocons long before the Groypers' parents were ever born. Let me just
We should have had Ron Paul as president.
We really should have, but he got fucked. And the Young Turds, including Jimmy Dore, when that was co-founded, when he was in there, when they were founded, partially founded themselves off of shilling for him, got themselves off the ground by shilling for him and stabbing him in the back when he lost. They did that. Jimmy was a part of that. And then you wonder why I hate regressivists. I hate them. That's not very Christian of you. I don't give a fuck. I turn my cheeks to shit, so much bullshit from them fucks. Their inconsistent views of rights, or you know, their lack of views of rights thereof is what I mean to say. Their lack of a view on human rights.
It's very funny because I'm technically the most Christian atheist you'll ever meet.
I know.
Yeah.
But
Literally.
let's see. Gay men who are at that time of the statistics, 1.65% of the U.S. population accounted for 63% of the syphilis cases. 2010, homosexuals about 2 more times more likely than everyone else to have been diagnosed with HIV. 15 more times to likely have hepatitis. And I could keep listing. 41% of transsexuals tried and failed to commit suicide. 53% of mothers of transsexual children have pretty much borderline personality disorder or multiple personality disorder or some shit. Worldwide, male to female transsexuals are more likely, 50 times more likely to have HIV than normal people, and this is the kind of shit that's rampant in these so-called communities. And then that was just the surface scratching of what they led to when they started embracing these more relativists, social justice, extreme experimentalist, identitarian ideas in the past. When they started grabbing onto this, that's what led down to that path. And then what happened, it just escalated. Now you got this pro-pedo shit going everywhere. Look, the fucking anarchists have been fighting with one right now. Jeremiah Harding exposed ESO for fucking around with that shit.
And
like housing this shit. I'm not kidding.
And this isn't even mentioning the fucking Weimar Republic transgender trials, where you know the experimentation.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's really dark shit. So why this? It even confirms why transgender people have a very big suicide rate.
And unlike ESO, I'm not gonna house a bunch of pedos and then shit on the trans and tell them to kill themselves, and then be shit and have racist shitty acting like that. Saying I'm gonna go, having a history saying I'm gonna go beat that N-word's head in.
Yeah, unlike US, so I may be a furry, but I believe that we should never fuck kids. We should actually raise kids, and we should actually teach them.
Yeah, I love children. I love kids. That is not loving them, okay? That is not loving them. That is hurting them. That is harming them. I would kill a motherfucker if I caught him in the act, if I could get away with it. You're fucking right, I would. That's radical, yeah, because I'm principled unlike your fucking ass. Being principled makes me a fucking radical. You goddamn right it does. That's one of the few base things Julius Evola ever said. And he wasn't being an appeal to tradition retard. A walking appeal to tradition fallacy.
I don't know what the hell's going on in your text stream, man, but it must be fucking hilarious.
It's not a stream. It's just a pre-recording podcast. Like that's what it is.
All right, so you can upload this into YouTube after we're done.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna try to put.
Send me a link on this whole thing.
I will. I gladly will, and you can share it around with whoever wants to see it.
What's up, mate? And still, don't get me wrong. Let me inject sanity here. As somebody, I'm completely fine for those who personally want to go to be transgender, but you have to be the right age, with the right mind, and know what the fuck you're going to get yourself into.
And you also have to be certain you are, diagnosed dysphoric, and you have no way out other outings to treat your condition. I'm all for, hey, let's be a little compassionate, try to help these people. Give them some help, I'm all for that. I'm absolutely all for that. I'm not going to dehumanize the motherfuckers like Valge the Commie, which is quite projection on his end. That's just a subhuman screeching at others calling them subhuman, as far as I'm concerned. Because that's what he basically... When you dehumanize others first, are you complacent in that kind of behavior? You're practically a subhuman yourself. Just gonna bluntly say that.
Not to mention that, I really don't want people to take the rainbow pill, because again, the thing is that, yes, unfortunately, it is true that, when you want to try to help somebody, in the words of Penn Jillette, I'll say it as it is, everybody wants to help the world, everyone wants to help the fellow man, it's sexy, but are you really helping somebody, or are you just making yourself feel better, despite what the facts are about? Because you're not even really helping. And you're doing... Are you really trying to help somebody, or you just want to stroke your own ego to think you're helping somebody? It was basically his whole argument against the pro-eco movement. And also, the same logic can be applied with the LGBT community as well. If you actually do want to help people, if the LGBT actually does give a damn about people, then why the fuck did they resent me and excommunicate me from them because of my right-wing political stance? Because of my right-wing political stance, and also, just for the record, I'm a libertarian nationalist, right-wing libertarian nationalist. Again,
you're liberal as fuck. Got it.
Yeah. Long story short, I'm okay if you want to do whatever the hell you want, as long as you don't infringe on the rights of others. And also, if you want to immigrate to my country, that's completely fine, as long as you identify as a citizen of the country. That is all good as it is. I'm basically, in a nutshell, Libertarian Conservative, if that makes any sense to anybody who wants to try to narrow me down. But still.
A Libertarian Conservative minarchist type. Yes, I know exactly what you are. You're a synthesis of libertarian thought and Edmund Burke is what you are. The beginnings of, which I'm impressed, but yeah.
With that said, what is my honest stance in the LGBT? Again, if you want to do whatever the fuck you want with your own body, that is your complete business. But you have to understand, there's a difference between personal choice and indoctrination, which is unfortunately why the LGBT will be getting this sort of shit. And the worst thing is, if you put other people who speak against you underground, you're giving them more power. The debate with this, don't go with the narrow-minded echo box view, because if you do, there's going to be more trannies who are going to slit themselves open and die. And let me tell you, somebody who tried to commit suicide, it's not pretty.
No.
And no fucking hormonal surgery can change you from cutting yourself open.
No.
My warning to you. Well, that being said, is there anything else to discuss about, or do you want to wrap this
Well,
up?
I was going to try to go over the distributist concepts, but I think we've went too far into the other subjects, and I only tend to keep these about 2 hours, but it's okay. I'll wait for it another time.
Well, with that being said, lads and lasses, for everybody who's viewing, it's very nice, actually was, it's very nice to be invited onto the first ever podcast we recorded with you. This is technically my first time on YouTube, so thank you very much, mate.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Also, yeah, I'm going to be going after certain elements of the Fuentes crowd, certain elements anyway. I'm going to be going...
Just hopefully...
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking shady shit in the background of those movements. That's practically... America First was done before, and it was a commie fashion nutsuck psyop by a bunch of... working to stab patriots in the back, essentially.
Yeah, just hopefully this isn't going to be my last appearance on YouTube, you know what I mean?
Huh?
Just hopefully this isn't going to be my last appearance on YouTube, you know?
Yeah, hopefully. If they fucking let up this pandemic lockdown ease up, maybe you can get some help, and maybe your prognosis will be proven false. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, with that said, everybody, I am going to end it here, and I will go over some distributist techniques in a video soon using a Libertarian framework. But I'm going to examine the ideology, and I'm also going to use, that's going to be lesson. It's going to be called Lessons from Distributist Writing. It's going to be lessons learned from distributism. Then I'm going to make another video eventually on how if you're a paleoconservative, this is the better option for you because it actually helps tackle certain fundamental problems. And I'm not sorry to say this, tariffs are bullshit. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act is proof enough, one of the biggest examples of proof against tariffs in history. Especially American history. So that shit's fucking absolutely insane. We got pro-tariff advocates. Oh, they're fucking... Another little tip. There's no such thing as a trade deficit unless the other country is fucking you on different things. Then there's some other form of deficit. It's a deficit of trust. If you're getting fucked on a trade deal agreement, series of agreements that way, then you have the beginnings. Then you have your... Well, first you have a trust deficit. Then the trade deficit comes after. That's what you have when these things occur. Let's get that straight. I paid a babysitter to babysit a kid. Hypothetically, I'm a fucking celibate dude, and I'm not married. I'm not even dating her. So I don't have. I'm just saying this hypothetically. If I was a dad, a genuine dad, and I had to work, and the missus had to do some shit from time to time, those times when neither was supposed to be at home, I'd get a babysitter. I pay a babysitter. I get a babysitter to babysit my kid. You know, I pay her. I have a short-term. You could say I have a deficit when I pay her. She hasn't come yet, but when she does, there's no trade deficit. See how that works? There's no trade deficit if she does what she's supposed to. Anyways, thanks for listening.
And thank you very much for listening to me too. And I appreciate you, Les, for bringing me onto this podcast. And hopefully you'll be hearing more from me if you like my incoherent ramblings.
I'll see you later, man. I'll see you guys later.